G'day friends and fans, welcome to Dave Talk Stuff Ukraine War update for the 12th of April 2026. I'm your host, the author David Applegate, and while the war continues, I will continue to bring you unbiased opinions from inside the manosphere on the war and its progress. As you can see, there is no reported activity in Crimea. Now that's important because as of 11 hours ago, the armed forces of Ukraine said this ceasefire started, and at the same time they announced that there were 469 cases of ceasefire violations by Russia. No context, no proof, okay. But it matters, right? So, around 6 p.m., they announced there were all these ceasefire violations. And then they continued to report more of them by day's end. They were claiming 566 strikes by loitering munitions. Where? We don't have any proof, right? But what we do have, now, while Ukraine was reporting violations of the ceasefire, it was them, in fact, who was violating the ceasefire. Yes, they attacked a pumping station of oil in Crimea, and allegedly ammunition depots and ground component points. So Ukraine announced it carried out this massive drone operation and then turned around and says Russia violated the ceasefire. However, there was also a proposal by Zelensky to extend the ceasefire. Okay, but at the same time they were violating the ceasefire. This came shortly after Ukraine freed Russian citizens, which they said for months they didn't have. And apparently one of the ceasefire violations was a Ukrainian tank. Now, it does appear to be a modified T-80, but it also could be a modified T-56 because but either way, Ukrainian tank appears to be driven by a solo soldier, although there could have been a tank crew. So they said they were fired upon by Ukrainians. Well, you get people in a very tense situation. They're fighting for their lives. They're not fighting for their state. They're not fighting for glory. They're not fighting even for gold or any other exponential reward. They're fighting for survival. So they hear a tank, they probably fired upon it. Same with the drones. You know, Russia probably had surveillance drones across the whole front. Ukraine shoots them down and reports 566 drones. Wait a minute, it's 566 drones. How could you have 469 violations? They can't do their own math. And then they turn around and claim to be the victims while attacking Crimea, but then don't report the attack on Crimea on the most common red live map. Because not everybody's going to be reading Pravda. So many people out there even think it's still Russian disinformation. It's ridiculous. So, yes, there was, however, today a article put out 22 hours ago. So, shortly before the ceasefire, Russia carried out a long-range strike with a new drone. This was made of plywood. Now, it's not new. The Allies made entire aircraft out of plywood during World War II. So did Russia. But for a long time, they've been making drones out of carbon fibre. Now, they found that plywood cheaper and more plentiful. Now, this is whether or not you believe, it's up to you. But electric plywood drones, heck, I had a remote control, like a plywood remote control. These are not very big. That's the thing. It's tiny drones, and they're catapulted. They appear to have this one appears to be plastic, so they've probably got plywood frames, like a lot of early aircraft did. But they're carrying a huge punch of high explosive. So, yeah, along the front, Russia carried out a series of strikes around 2 hours before the ceasefire, and Ukraine decided to respond to that by attacking Crimea 4 hours later after the ceasefire began. Why? Well, it's believed they hit a command centre. Because Zelensky gets away with everything. There's no oversight. Or the UK didn't even acknowledge the attack. They turn around and says, we're going to help with the Strait of Hormuz. We're going to get the Ukrainians to do it. We're going to pay the Ukrainians. There's some fetish that I haven't... There's some Eastern European fetish going on right now. It seems to be anything... Britain last seems to be the policy of Britain, right? Every European country seems to be Ukraine first. RPGs and anti-tank mines, can be... So... there's a comparison. But, I mean, deploying these, they got a high tense spring on them so that a person stepping on them won't set them off. They not very big. That's the new high impact warhead. Yep. Apparently they're being captured, and they're showing off that, look, they had Starlink, everyone. So Russia borrowed hacked Ukraine's Starlink to send in drones. Wow. As if Ukraine hasn't been hacking Russia or doing anything untoward. No. It's always one-sided. It's not fascism when we do it, right? That's the Democrat motto. These drones, a shotgun, a skeet gun, basically. Boom, skeet shooting. They are very vulnerable. They are requiring to be assembled because dealing with high explosives, you very volatile situation. Last thing you want to do is probably ship these assembled so they can blow up on you. But it seems to be, a fragile peace. There's no appearance that there has been widespread violence. See, again, they claim 469 cases, loitering munitions, first-person drones, no strikes with missiles, guided air bombs, or reported. Air assault actions and all these other things, but they can't produce a single photograph. Not one article shows any. The only article showing a ceasefire violation is by Ukraine. They say there's kills, but past day, past day, past day. They're all from yesterday, not from the ceasefire. They're all over 24 hours old. Zelensky, the need for security. Yeah, this is my need for security, my comfy blanket. This is what weak, insecure people do, particularly criminals. They want a security blankie. They want people to always feel sorry for them, pity them, to always have some manipulation so that you'll take no action. And so far, no one's taking action. It just seems to be just a growing apathy. But in a way, apathy is its own protest. Yeah, so 7 Russian civilians, the last of a total of 169, were adopted. Last of them returned. And see, Russia documents it. Russia shows all the photographs. I keep warning people, Russia's best propaganda in this war has been the truth. It has the only thing. I mean, this is the problem. I know there's a whole web of deceit going on about Iran that's really going to tarnish everything. Russia and Britain seem to suffer from the same chips on the shoulder where, you know, with UK, it's Zelensky could do no wrong. In Russia, the Ayatollah is a victim of Western aggression. And in UK, Zelensky is the victim of Russian aggression. You know, hurry up, Keir Starmer, just get a room, get it over and done with. Because Putin ain't going to sleep with you, bro. He don't swing that way. That we know of. He likes Russian ballerinas half your age, Mr. Starmer. Or miss. I'm not going to assume your gender. But can we agree? Can we actually have some sort of agreement where, unless the Western media, the Western countries are going to uphold liberal ideals, actually start being transparent, but no, because they learnt since World War II you can keep secrets and keep a lot of secrets, and eventually people give up. Like all the lawsuits over JFK, it took, over 10,000 lawsuits, and it took multiple elections, multiple class action lawsuits. It took, even then, the government, as they were releasing the documents, were under attack by the Democrats to stop the publication. Yet Democrats are running around saying Republicans cover everything up. It is just such a disservice to humanity for anybody to believe anything a liberal says, to believe anything the Labour Party says, to believe anything that Zelensky says. He offers a ceasefire, and Russia says, nope, you just want to rearm and attack us again. You've done this before. He has no credibility. Now, yeah, if I was Putin, I would pretty much use the powers of persuasion or whatever political favours I had left to have at least, and I know this is where Tucker and many others came under attack and why Tucker has lost his way, but I would get, there's got to be some observers still out there to go to the front line. But here's the problem. You can record all the truth you want. Nobody's watching it. The majority who watch the Ukraine war, they're going to watch the Ukrainian side and believe the Ukrainian side. The majority of British, they don't even notice or care that YouTube is censored, or Germany or France. So the truth can be out there, but nobody's going to watch it. And no one's going to talk about it. Most of the anti-war movement is pretty much only wanting to stop Russia and have them dismantle their war machine. Now, what happened, or Israel, evil Israel, it is such politics that creates such division in society, because you're just literally frustrated with how obtuse people are. That they cannot see. They cannot see him as an actor. They cannot literally see the manipulation going on in front of them. And it's so frustrating when they're actually telling us in their own words that they violated the ceasefire, because nothing is going to happen to them. The General Staff, for the security services of Ukraine. Now there's the SS and the SBU. So there's SSU, and the SBU. So they said on the 9th of 10th to 11th. No. They're gaslighting. But no one is going to call them out. The Western media is going to show them, and they're going to just continue on bilking people for money, giving people who have Russia derangement syndrome their daily dose of explosions and drama. After 4 years of war, Russia's destroyed. It's on their knees. Putin's finished. And day after day, they'll click the same dumb, Mr. Beast style, oversaturated coloured, and they're going to get worse. Thumbnails are only going to get worse and worse because people aren't interested in the truth. They're interested in having their funny bone tickled. And eventually what happens is it goes from a feather to a sledgehammer when reality sets in. And the reality is, no one knows if this is true or not. No one knows if this is true or not. Because no one knows if this is true or not. Because the Western media won't do any reporting. They want to sit at home in their comfortable chairs, in their comfortable clothes, and read a teleprompter. And people have become so intellectually lazy that telling the truth is an offense to them. So this map should be cleared, but Ukraine isn't. They're giving a false impression of a war that's still going on when there's 1,723 violations. You do know that most days there's only 143 actions reported by Ukraine. And all of a sudden they can report over 1,000. Did any of these verified or come with images? No. So this is why it's getting hard to report to you what's going on. But right now we have Ukraine. We have two things that have been verified. One, the Red Cross did verify and carry out a transfer of Russians without explanation of how they were in Ukrainian custody, and nobody in the Western media is asking how. All right. This is the Kursk offensive, which is what prompted Putin to put a no man's land between Russia and Ukraine in the first place. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please support the channel. Support me on Ko-Fi, Patreon, buy my books, buy my merch. Appreciate each and every one of you. See you in the next video, and bye for now.